Welcome to Insight, everyone. I'm Nnamdi Odipo. Advances in information and communications technology have positively impacted critical sectors globally. Here in Nigeria, we're beginning to reap the dividends of digitization, but then how can we speed up progress in certain areas? That we'll be speaking with an expert on e-learning, and we will explore innovations in that sector. Again, we're still in the thick of the World Press Freedom Day, and in spite of rising challenges, the press continues to live up to expectations. Elizabeth Omori would guide us through that conversation. Elizabeth?
Well, like you said, it's the Press Freedom Week, and on the Media Review segment, we will be critically taking a look at this year's theme, which is information as a public good.
Very well then, I think we should begin the conversation. If education is the bedrock of meaningful and sustainable development of any society, then quality in education is key. In the fast-evolving world, advances in the application of technologies have helped push the frontiers in educational development and inclusiveness as well. And I'll be speaking with Idonoegbe Akogun. I mean, I'm pretty sure I got that wrong, but Idonoegbe, I'll take that one more time. Founder and coordinator of Electronics Education Initiative, EDON, a program directed at encouraging schools in Nigeria and of course other developing countries to establish an international component of electronics learning. I reckon we'll get further clarification on that presently. I also do understand, EDON, that you have a preference for the short version of your name, EDON, right? Is that correct?
That's very correct.
Okay,
That's
again,
right.
People see you as a global educationist because of your works around the world. You must really have some good flight credits.
Yes, I do.
Well, it's good to have you here for sure. Good to have you on Insight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, great. Knowing what we now know about ICT and its application, I think it's reasonable to say that the effects of e-learning are considerably imperative and affirmative. I'd like to ask you a pointed question. Do you think we're consistent in our bid, and I mean Nigeria now, in leveraging ICT for better all-round performance in education, whether it is in building of infrastructures or in policy formulation and implementation?
Now, that's a very good question. To answer that, to be very, very fair, I believe that the government has done a great job in trying its best to incorporate a technology-based system into our tertiary system and the basic education system, but I think we need an all-round understanding of what programs we need as well to put a rounded circle to this infrastructure. It's not enough to just have technology, multimedia presence at the institutions. We have to understand what programs we need to utilize the infrastructure to make them as useful to the students and faculty at the institutions.
So, in essence, we may have to do some sort of appraiser, repraiser, identifying areas of needs, identifying priority areas as well, identifying sectors that they might be relevant or not, and then pursuing set goals.
Exactly, because without having the infrastructure at the schools, you have to maximize the technology to know exactly what use there will be to the students. Otherwise, having technology bandwidth at the schools, the students will be left to just use them for social media. You need to have as many programs at the school for STEM, science, technology. That way you can use as much of the infrastructure for artificial intelligence, incorporating nanotechnology programs that can actually enhance the curriculum at the institutions to upgrade the university degree.
I'll take you up on the issue of utilization and application further down the line in the course of our conversation, but I would like to get I get that your advocacy for real-time electronics education exchange program started well over a decade ago, preempting the coronavirus pandemic. Give us a quick background on EDON and put in context how it meets the imperatives for inclusiveness within the international intellectual community.
Thank you so much. Now, the Electronic Education Initiative was started back in 2009, roughly 2010. The program is aimed to maximize technology, utilizing multimedia in our institutions, allowing them to utilize, of course, Zoom, Polycom, Cisco, any infrastructure you have present at your schools to link with institutions of learning within the country, and of course, using my platform to institutions outside of the country, United States, England, all the global developed countries. That way, institutions like Howard, Lincoln University, all the HBCUs to have their faculty teach live into classrooms in Nigeria. Now, like you asked, if we have these linkages, which we currently do using my platform, you can of course enhance the curriculum in our schools so the students can have first-hand information, first-hand knowledge on quality, modern courses into their classrooms currently. This allows our curriculum to be enriched, reduces the need for brain drain. That way students who are traveling abroad, rushing to schools abroad to have modern classes, modern degree, not modern, but of course, enhanced degrees so they can have better job opportunities, is all diminished because now within the classrooms, within universities in Nigeria, these programs are available here and now.
Fantastic. You know what? I think I'd like for us to revisit the issue of policy that we talked about earlier in our opening, and the need for creating pathways for digital learning, especially in Nigerian universities. We have already established that, and even before now, how the pandemic is a mix of good and bad. Good in the sense that it helped us explore alternatives and embrace globally accepted means of teaching and learning by utilizing technology. But in terms of consolidation, how can we mainstream, and I know you brought that up when you brought up the issue of the curriculum and all of that, but how can we mainstream e-learning into our system consistent with policy and meeting the objectives of being part of the curriculum? Because that way, I think it becomes a structure in place.
I have to first say that the men and women who work in our tertiary institutions, the Federal Ministry of Education, the National Universities Commission are very brilliant and wonderful people who have set up a curriculum, who have set up a policy that have been guiding the system for years now. But that being said, we owe it to our young people to be innovative. We owe it to them to make sure that if the world around us is evolving due to technology, everywhere we go now, a young person has a cell phone, they can swipe and click. We have to enhance the classroom to be that imaginative for them. Otherwise, we do Nigeria, not the student, not the young person, we do the country a disservice if we don't enhance these young people to be the future leaders of the country. So to answer your question, it just takes the willpower of the people in authority right now to enhance and repackage the curriculum and the policies to meet modern needs for incorporating global components into the curriculum.
We talk about this and we mentioned the universities. That's at the tertiary level. But I just, while you were seated here talking about this issue, I just had this flash, like an epiphany of some sort. And then I thought, how about we make such an initiative popular at the primary school level, the basic primary school level, and we begin to ingrain and teach and make these primary school pupils imbibe these knowledge, and it becomes a part of them as they grow. Imagine how much good it will do them later when they get to the university level and it's not something novel anymore.
That is what you're saying is just music to my ears. I'm sure even young people watching the show right now, we're hoping and praying for something like that to happen. In the University of Benin, which was our very first class we ever took in 2014, the students in that class were amazed just being able to interact with the faculty in Lincoln University in 2013 or 2014.
In real time?
In real time. A student was able to talk to his teacher in Lincoln University, ask questions and interact and get a certificate from Lincoln University all the way in the United States. He was amazed and shocked. He had never left Nigeria, the shores of the country before in his life. So imagine if we were able to transfer that to as low as primary school, where students can interact with other students in England or China or Germany. And that relationship is built over in years and years, and students at the end of the day become not only co-students and peers, but business partners, friends, as they evolve in time. It will be amazing. And my organization is able and willing to create such linkages if, of course, we're willing to talk to anybody and everyone in government to make this happen. Professor Abuja Rashid, who's the ES of the NUC, he was one of the very
National
first.
Universities Commission.
Right. He was the very first vice chancellor we met in Bayero University, and he was so welcoming of the project at the time. And this is something that I'm sure he would want us to move all across the university system. This is something that, as long as the policy to incorporate a global system, because Nigeria is not alone anymore. A student who graduates from Usman Danfodio University or University of Lagos or University of Port Harcourt is not going to use that degree just in Port Harcourt or Sokoto.
He's a member of the global community.
Exactly. So we need to enhance the way we learn, the way we teach within the classroom to make our children, our future workforce, marketable and of course challenging across the world.
I mean, I deduce that one of the long-term implications of not building capacity within our communities is the phenomenon of brain drain. You mentioned that. You and I actually talked about this in the recent past, and I remember you saying we cannot keep sending our brilliant minds and talented youth abroad on scholarships, knowing only a fraction may return. I concede. I concede that the factors driving brain drain are multifaceted, but I'd like your take on how best to stop this seeming escalation of human capital flight and drive manpower development within our communities. Please feel free to use or draw from your personal experience.
No, I think there are so many ways that the way we can reduce the brain drain capital even now and from the past and even the future going forward. I currently work with Honorable Abike Dabri's Nigerian Diaspora Commission. And one of the ideas I threw at her was to set up a diaspora database for students that graduate from foreign universities. Those who are graduating, it is the Nigerian Human Resource Capital here in Nigeria, where as a human resource agent or personnel, you can see all those from foreign universities across the world who are graduating from schools abroad, and you can also pull from that database as well in case you want to hire foreign students who are coming out of schools or across the world. That reduces the need for
an entire database for the entire world.
For the entire world. So that is something that we're also looking at as an option, in addition to what we're working on with the education program, where the students who are here don't feel the need to leave the country because of quality education. We have to combat the need to allow our greatest resource, which is our people, from leaving the country, because we both know when you leave the country, the need of them coming back is limited. Looking at China, for example, most Chinese, when they leave their shores, they go and learn, but the country encourages them to come back.
Exactly.
In Nigeria, it's not always the same. Once you leave, sometimes your parents tell you, stay there.
Don't come back.
Don't come back. Sometimes you yourself don't want to come back. It's a culture shock on coming back. But the point is, we have to work towards a better system. And that's what I'm trying to do. Not necessarily change it, but enhance the education, the degree, and the quality of learning and teaching.
Truth be told, we need to have our students and some of our best brains come back to this country to come up, develop Nigeria. I know we've talked about these, but I'd like to bring it up one more time. It isn't just enough to have ICT infrastructure in place like we do. You mentioned some universities already, Uniport, Uniben, and a host of others I can't recall at the moment.
Kaduna State University.
Okay, great, fantastic. I know you've worked with a few of them, like you said. Why hasn't that inspired, or that experience inspired more experimentation? Are you not just impressed enough to perhaps seek and attract other non-state actors into this initiative to drive this global component of e-learning until perhaps the government actually plays ball fully or more expansively?
Okay, sometimes we can talk technically, or sometimes we can talk realistically. Sometimes the truth is people don't really react until there's a need. And I think COVID-19 was a situation where institutions and organizations within the country and across Africa realized that it is not, there's no longer just a need, a want, a desire to put technology and utilize that for the students and faculty, but now COVID-19 has made the social distancing a need to create technology as a means to interact with students and faculty within the classroom. What we are saying now is that, look, we've seen that COVID-19 has created the necessity, but we can take it a step further. We don't always need to have the students and the faculty within the same state interact now using multimedia. We can take it to the next frontier. Let us allow these students and faculty work beyond the shores of the country. That way we can work with students and faculty across from Europe, Americas, Brazil, South Africa, Dubai, and have it in the comfort of your own campus, reducing the cost of travel, the culture shock, and the students who have never left the community can still learn and be at their best. This is something that I think would be welcome across the board, and it's something that, look, all we have to do is just a click away.
Just so we're clear on this and we're on the same page, even though you got some level of education abroad, you're absolutely rallying for education here in Nigeria, but one that exposes our students to outside environments in real time, almost as if they are there themselves. And you honestly think that that will, of course, in addition to other things like political will and commitment to invest and deliver quality, that education here can deliver just as it is in the developed and more technologically advanced countries. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. If we can get the will of the government to understand the need to enhance the education system, it's a one-way street to progress, to development of the future of the individual student, individual workforce, entrepreneurship. Everybody graduates today as a young person thinking the next thing is a government job. If we can get the actual individual to realize now, as he graduates, he himself can open a computer and become an entrepreneur. He can be the next Bill Gates, the next Steve Jobs, the next entrepreneur, creating the next brand new invention. All we need to do is be supported by the government to understand that we are giving you the very best. All we need from you, the student, the young person, is to innovate and take over the world.
Can I quickly ask you a question? I mean, having worked with some students already in some schools, did you get a sense of how psyched or how, I mean, receptive, not receptive now, I think that receptive is not the word that I'm looking for, but how much so the experience was for an individual student, you know, not just the collective now, but did you try or attempt to gauge the level of response, you know, on a particular student that you've had to, in one of the universities that you've worked with? Did you get a sense of how it affected that undergraduate's psyche? I mean, being part of a global community, being able to have the opportunity and experience of interacting with students from other parts of the world in real time, and listening to lectures, taking notes from a university done in one overseas university, Lincoln University for instance, and having to take jottings from the lecturer, I mean, at no cost at all.
I remember, I like to always focus on our very first trial class, which was in University of Benin. Senator Bob F. Young, who was the chairman of the governing council, the first day I met with the management and he saw the project, immediately he was like, we're doing this, because he knew the beauty of the project. The students in that class, once they finished the program, one of the students called Abraham, he came to me and said, sir, we want to thank you so much for this. They have never experienced this before. Coming to school, being in campus and not interacting with just a blackboard, but being able to stand up in class and actually talk into a screen and have a faculty member from across the world in real time, 6 hours behind, and have that faculty member talk to them, understand their accent. I think the teacher was Dr. Pinero, and he was from Mexico, originally from Mexico, and he could understand them perfectly. And they were interacting, asking questions. And what the course was integrated pest management. It was a wonderful experience. The student had to express with so much joy and understanding of how that course changed their mindset, their psyche, and that alone in itself is revolutionizing how a child, a young person, sees the world in their own little community, thinking at that point he's not just a child living in Edo, but now a community member across the world, and he can now see the world differently because of a program like this.
Just make this clearer for me, and this is because you brought up the issue of your work with the Diaspora Commission and how you intend to come up with a structure that gathers data for a number of our students across the world. How is that likely to impact on capacity building if we can actually go through with such an initiative and actually attract some of these students to return and contribute their quota to our development? I mean, that is likely to have a massive impact if we succeed in that direction.
And all this just has to do with will of the government to follow through. Honorable Abike Dabiri is doing the best she can. She's a very brilliant lady, and I've been working with her for a few years now to set up that particular database, as well as a global database for Nigerian diaspora generally. So we're working to make sure that it's well put together. Of course, the security and everything as far as no one can break into that particular portal. So as soon as all of that is put together properly, of course, everyone will be made aware of when and how you can access that database, and those in the diaspora, of course, will be informed via the DISCOM website.
Great. I know you're also working on something. I think we have time for that. I would just like to drift a bit away from e-learning and pick your brains on diaspora voting, because I understand you're also consulting with INEC on the related issue. How is that playing out? How is that playing out towards feasibility and actualization of diaspora voting?
So currently, of course, we're waiting for the actual legal terminology to be signed through the National Assembly. But currently, I'm working with the INEC Electoral Institute on capacity building, diaspora mapping, and research initiatives to see how we can, of course, go to the United States and take a look about how all the Nigerians that are resident in the U.S. and how they are mapped across the country. So how if, of course, voting is to take place, how would that look like? Would it be physical voting, electronic voting, or voter by mail? And go through all that research to understand how that is going to play out in the long run. So it's a very long process, but we're starting that relationship with the INEC Institute currently, and that's headed by Dr. Idris Saad.
In your research that you're gathering for such a project, for such a work, what are some of the variables that you're gleaning right now, the feelers? I mean, is this likely to be embraced by Nigerians abroad?
Well, I can't say too much about it. I will allow the institute to speak,
I get that.
speak about that.
I get that. I just need a snippet.
Well,
a hint.
At this point, I'll say that I believe it'll be well received by Nigerians abroad, just because everyone in the diaspora feel they want to be part of the community. They want to be part of the decision-making process in Nigeria. So we have to start and, of course, make the position that we are doing our best to make everything as secure, making sure everything is well thought out. And, of course, that, of course, will give them the confidence to let them know that their vote will count. And, of course, it's done thoroughly, professionally, and, of course, with as much think through as possible.
Finally, just before I let you go, I mean, you are a youth advocate of some sort, educational youth advocate. I'd like to add the word education in there somewhere in there. I mean, seeing all that is playing out right now in the sector, and considering the challenges and what government is doing, you think we're making the right? Are we walking the right path? Are we headed there? Do you think there's hope for us yet?
I think we could do a lot more. I think there's a lot more we can do, but I think we're doing the best we can. But I think the more we incorporate more young people in decision making, incorporate more young people in their ideas, and not just be comfortable with what is or what can be. Otherwise, we're just going to be satisfied with what has been done, and then we'll never go to where we're supposed to be. We have a responsibility to our future as a country, and we must take the future, very seriously. Our young people are depending on us. Nigeria is depending on us. So I'll say this loud and clear for everyone to understand. Please, we have a responsibility to our future, to Nigeria. Please, every young person, we're going to do our best to give you our best. I'm here for you. The government is here for you. It's not enough to say our curriculum is what it was, but it's what it should be. We're going to make it better.
A global educationist, founder and coordinator, Electronics Education Initiative, Idom Akogun. I want to thank you so much for showing up here, and largely for showing up especially where it matters for Nigeria's education sector. I wish you the very best and hope to take advantage of one of your electronics education projects quite soon. Cheers to many future successes ahead. Thank you so much for coming on Insight.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Elizabeth Omoru is up next with the media review segment.
Thanks Thanks for joining us on the Media Review segment. This is World Press Freedom Day with the theme Information as a Public Good serves as a call to reaffirm the importance of cherishing information and exploring what can be done in the production and distribution of content to strengthen journalism and to advance transparency while leaving no one behind. The theme is of urgent relevance to all countries across the world. It recognizes the changing communications system that is impacting on our health, our human rights, democracies, and sustainable development. Now the question is, how free is the press? My guest, Ladi Bala, President, Nigerian Association of Women Journalists, NAWOJ, will deal on this theme. Ma, it's nice to have you on Insights.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
I'd like to hear from you as an authority. What is your assessment of press freedom in Nigeria?
My assessment of press freedom in Nigeria would be that in Nigeria we enjoy relative freedom, to carry out our trade. But in comparison to other countries like Egypt, India, China, and many other countries where the journalists are not allowed, face a lot of challenges, many of them in detention as we speak. Compared to Nigeria, we don't have many of our colleagues in detention, even though we still have some challenges, and again, the good thing is that we have laws in that guarantees of press freedom in Nigeria. They are not in short supplies in any way, but I think basically our major problem is the implementation, is allowing these laws to take their course, allowing the journalists, to actually deliver on their mandate without any form of interference. We enjoy relative freedom, but we are not there yet. We still have some challenges. Journalists in Nigeria are faced with some challenges in some quarters. Today we still have journalists are being harassed, and particularly from security operatives. Whenever there are functions, there are issues to be cleared, most of the time there's this misunderstanding, lack of understanding between the journalists and some security personnel. There's this suspicious and conflict, and to me this has constituted a lot of a problem to the freedom of expression for the journalists in Nigeria. But if those areas can be looked into, there's need for that understanding, maybe a kind of training for security operatives and other key stakeholders in powers to understand very well the role of the journalist, the role of the media in the development of our country. When we have that understanding, I feel we'll be able to operate freely without being on each other's neck.
Okay, considering this year's theme, which relates to all, how accessible is information really?
Yeah, it depends on the kind of effort put in by journalists. Yeah, information are accessible, but to some extent there are certain information that before you can access as a journalist, you have to go through a lot, and there are some that you hardly can access, even with the provision of the Freedom of Information Act. With some journalists, we are still finding it difficult to access a certain information, and because of the processes and what you have to go through to get this information, it still boils down to awareness. It boils down to sensitization of some key public office holders to understand, what it means to release those information, because we say information is a public good. It's public good. So if the journalist cannot access the right kind of information, so it makes it difficult for that journalist, to serve the society better. Mm-hmm. So it is imperative, sincerely speaking, that journalists be allowed to access certain information, because when you deny certain information, you give room for speculation. Especially with this day of the social media. A lot of information are there, but when you deal directly with the genuine journalist, the person that works for a reputable organization, you'll be able to help that person to to serve the society better, because the person will not work with rumor, will not work with what others are saying. A true journalist will always weigh the quality of information at his or her disposal before dishing it out, you know, to the public out there. So I think it's all about collaboration. The society have a role to play, you know, ensuring that the right kind of information is passed across by, you know, supporting the role of the media in the society. Provide the necessary information. When the journalists approach you for certain information, it's either to clarify, you know, the issues on ground, or to get more information about the issue before publishing it. But most of the time people refrain, you know, stay with it. They always want to hold back, and I don't know for what, because whatever the journalist does, it is for the good of all, and information is supposed to be free and it's for everyone. So it takes the society, it takes the power that be and the journalists to make the right information available to the society so that they can make informed decisions and choices.
At what point would you say the Freedom of Information Act comes into play in making the press free, really?
When those that are supposed to release those information anytime it is required of do so.
Has this act been effective?
Yes, not very effective.
Why?
Yeah, not very effective, because I've heard some of my colleagues, you know, complain a lot about not being able to access certain information. First, you'll be asked to go and swear an affidavit, you know, in the court of law. You come, you apply, and you give detailed you provide the details of the kind of information that you want, and you send it to the organization. The organization will have to seek for permission, you know, through another organization. The act says you get whatever information you want within 7 days, but you realize that it takes more than 7 days. Sometimes you have to go to court if, for instance, they are not able to supply you that information within the given time. And if going, the next thing is for you to go to court and demand that this information be given to you. But come to think about it, how many journalists have the resources to do that? How many journalists are willing to stick their neck, you know, to follow an information that should ordinarily be made available to them, but someone is sitting on it and is insisting, you know, that you go through certain processes that are not yielding result to get those information. So these are some of the things that, to me, has always discouraged journalists from pursuing certain information, and before you know, you just let go, and it's not in the interest of the society at all.
Before we talk about this year's celebration, I'd like to know, because I'm a journalist as well, but how free is the press?
Freedom, it depends on the society where the journalist is operating from, the press is operating from, can be relative. Depends on the definition of freedom by the society in which the journalist or the press operates. Because it's not every information that is made available to the press. There's this censorship, you know, among journalists, and depends on the society, like I said. For instance, what goes on in Nigeria may not likely, for the journalists, may not likely be the same in China, for instance, or in Egypt, where journalists are constantly being attacked and being silenced. We don't have that kind of situation in Nigeria.
Okay, as we celebrate journalists across the globe, what message do you have for Nigerian journalists?
My message to Nigerian journalists is that we should see ourselves, our profession, as a noble profession. And to me, I always say our profession is like a calling. We have a moral and a constitutional responsibility to the society, and so we should ply our trade within the confines of our ethics. We must not be the ones that we should stay away from sensationalism and passing out information that could cause crisis in our society. We should use our pen, we should use our pages of newspaper and our different media organizations to promote unity in our society, particularly to the Nigerian journalists. The society is looking up to us. We have the responsibility of ensuring that this nation remains one by what we do, what we say, and where we say it, and how we say it.
The society is looking up to us. Ladi Bala, President, Nigerian Association of Women Journalists, and Award, thank you so much for coming on Insights.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
And that's it on the Media Review segment.
Moving on now, most people I know have mechanisms in place to cope with pressure. It could be work pressure or not, but there are these little things that we do, like taking time out, taking a break, or pretty much choosing to indulge and let the pressure all go. But the last year and a half have been quite stressful for most people, and for those who have a knack for holidaying as an opportunity to ease pressure, the times may be getting better, but are we really there yet? I'll be speaking with someone who is somewhat of an expert in holidaying and understands how it meets our physical, mental and psychological needs. He is a hotelier and vacation consultant. Alan Samel, welcome to Insight.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Salim, let me ask you a question that comes somewhere, between the reality portrayed, sometimes by the media. I'm talking about fantasy and the actual reality. Why does it seem, or why does holidaying sound very elitist in countries like Nigeria? And that is one. Two, ideally, should we not all embrace a culture that helps us to unwind and ease pressure from time to time? And how does holidaying help us to achieve that?
Okay, let me tell you one thing. If we want to go back before COVID-19, holidaying was start picking up really in Abuja. This culture is really new here in Abuja. So let me give you an example. I'm from Dubai. I was working like for 9 years in Dubai before. So it's well known there. You need a break, you need to go vacation. There's lots of possibilities. You have lots of choices. Maybe you have really like 100 of choices. In Abuja now, after the COVID-19, related to social distancing, environmental office eligibility, not what we can do, what we can do, it really affected the hospitality and especially the vacation. Like there is now example, you cannot be on a birthday more than 40-50 person.
Yeah.
By rules.
Very true.
Yeah. Lots of things that is affecting the hospitality right now and the tourism.
I get that, and I like that you made a reference to Dubai. Actually, I've been to Dubai a couple of times, and there is a sustained culture of holidaying.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
It takes me back to my question originally, and I mean, why is it that and of course I know you've related and you've met with Nigerians and other Africans, does it sound weird to you when you talk about holidaying and then people like, what are you talking about?
Really?
Because to you it comes naturally.
And
it's
normally
you
will see the Nigerians outside Abuja or Nigeria. They are mainly number one vacationing people in Dubai, in Qatar, in Kuwait. They are really number one. But why they don't do it in their country, this is now, I don't know. Maybe I don't have the experience of Lagos. I never been in Lagos. But what I heard, like, we should be at least here in Abuja related to vacation, to outing. It should be like little bit like Lagos.
Okay, Alan, I would paraphrase and recouch this question. I would really appreciate if you help me attempt to answer it. Okay. Where you're from, the United Arab Emirates, you don't really have to be rich to holiday, do you?
No, you don't have to be rich.
To holiday, right?
You can go to different kind of holidays.
Okay,
because the culture, because let me tell you, in hospitality, you can do in a 4-star hotel, in a 3-star hotel, in a 5-star hotel, the same package. The only difference is the level where you want to spend your time. You could spend a full package, example for stay vacation, like 3-4 days, in a 3 or 5 or 5-star hotel. It's not expensive. But if you want to go to 5-star, for sure it will be like double price than 4 stars, and then 3 stars is cheaper. But mainly anyone can go vacation, anyone can enjoy anything related.
You see, that's there. That's your culture. That's where you come from. Yeah, and that was my original question to you. You can't tell the poor man here to start thinking about going to Dubai.
Yeah.
You know, that's exactly
But
my
you can
point.
start. But you can start telling the people here, the poor man in here, to start going out to Abuja,
Exactly.
to hotels. You can have like a weekend stay. There's lots of offers. We are offering like 2-night stay with full board, with swimming pool access, free internet. So we
At
have
prices they can afford.
yes, and very affordable prices.
Since we're on the subject already,
Okay.
how early can an individual or a family begin plans for a holiday? Not forgetting how tough the times are. And is it possible to have some form of holidaying, no matter where you are on the social scale? I mean, you've talked to that. But how early can we do that?
Well, we are trying to do this. We was trying really before the COVID-19.
I mean,
the only thing affected this to be now in order and everyone is seeing it, going for it, is just the COVID-19 matter. If no, we was really on the right track. Honestly speaking, we was in Abuja really on the right track for this kind of things.
I get there, Alan, and I would like for you to use yourself as an example
Okay.
now. Like, if I have to go, I've been on holiday a couple of times that I've had to plan. I recall that the last time I went on holiday, I had to plan 2 years ahead to embark on that holiday. It took a while because I thought it was some money, and I had to weigh my options.
Yeah, I know.
I had to weigh my options. I thought about a couple of things, and then I said, okay, top. My visa might expire soon. I think I had better use it one more time before it expires. Otherwise, reapplying might be an issue. And that for me was an issue, number one. And then, of course, I needed the holiday. I needed to ease some
sure,
pressure. So my question again to you, using your experiences, if, for instance, you have to plan an holiday, or rather a holiday, how early do you begin the plans for this holiday, considering whether the pressure from work is there or not? Do you plan 1 year ahead? Do you plan 6 months ahead? Do you plan 3 months ahead? What helps you to determine how your plans go?
Well, let me tell you one thing. For an international holiday, if you want to go to any good location, like example Maldives, again we say Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Beirut, anything, any of these areas, like Far East. Now at this time, it will really take you time to plan it. A minimum 3 months, 3 to 6 months. Before COVID-19, you could plan all this maybe in 15 days.
Yes.
That's it, you can go. Because applying a tourist visa for Far East, even for Dubai, even for any place in the world was before. Like you will apply 1 month, you will take everything, you will get them your booking in the hotels, your ticket going and come, that's it. It was very easy. But now with this COVID-19, it's really...
How tough is it,
It's
as a
really
matter of
tough.
fact?
Now
Yes.
we have the Arab travel market, the international worldwide #1 hospitality in the world, in Dubai, on the 15th. We applied maybe now since 6 months till now we don't get yes or no, and now we are cancelling. We cannot go. So this is an example. It's
Of how
not like
bad
us.
it is, yes.
Everyone else is going to this things for COVID-19. If not for it, it will really be better and better. But you can go now for easier thing, like staycation in your country.
Yes.
You can go to any state. You can plan it. You don't need even more than 1 week. You can look to your budgets. Even your budgets can be affordable budgets for any staycation in your country.
Alan, I like that you're bringing this up, because it's quite funny the way it plays out in our country. And you mentioned it earlier. I mean, Nigerians are always in countries like Dubai and other foreign countries out there, and yet we have very, very attractive sites, very attractive holidaying sites here in the country, and it's not just popular with us. And here you are, a foreigner, telling us about far more interesting places here, even better than abroad.
Really, there is places here better than abroad. I can assure you, me and my colleagues and my friends, we could go to Zumarok every Sunday. We could go to the zoo. They will tell us to go to the sea. We go to other states. Example, Akwa Ibom states. You want to go to nightlife, you can plan nightlife in Lagos. You want to go for Ramadan, example, you can go to Kano. So a staycation in the country is very big. even bigger than any other country in the Middle East I've visited, except if we want to go for Egypt, it's very big. But the staycation vacation in Nigeria is really affordable. Everyone can do it, and everyone should start doing it. Because now after COVID-19 is different procedures, different rules of traveling, it's very hard. So inside the country, lots of packages, lots of places to visit. I was really more than happy.
Okay.
I went many places in Nigeria. It was really amazing.
And you had
the
fun?
experience. It was really amazing. We had to Gorara Falls. So you have places in Nigeria. Me as a foreigner, if I will tell friends all over the world, this is what we have in Nigeria, they will not believe. They will not believe. Really, it's a very beautiful places. This is the only places I visit just now. I'm like almost 2 years. But there's friends for me, they will tell me, oh, you have to go to this forest, you have to go to here. So it's amazing to go, like I said again, we call it a staycation in your country. To relax, to enjoy, you take your kids. This is
I mean, Alan, I'm so glad you're bringing this up. But let me just quickly redirect this conversation. I know you're a hotelier, but please don't bring up the name of your hotel, not of my program.
I will not, don't worry.
Great. So, but I would like to know, and speaking generically, it's a fact that the tourism sector has been most hit by the pandemic, and even though things are gradually picking up now, it's likely to take a bit more time before, and if ever, things will return back to normal, that is the way they were prior to the pandemic. How are hotels and other players in the sector readjusting to the new normal, and what kind of public safety plans are in place to inspire and reassure prospective clients of safety?
all right. Let me tell you, I will not mention the names. As a brand hoteliers, as a brand hotels, you have international rules from your brand for safety and security measurement. So we have to be like, example, you go to X hotel, this X hotel in this country should be the same. They have their safety and security measurement. Adding on this, the Abuja Environmental Office, they are really putting lots of rules and regulation, and they are in visit for mostly of all hotels all the time. I can see, they can call, they can come even without telling you. So lots of measurement in places, really like, as we say always, safety and safety for our guests is our priority. So all the measurement against COVID-19 is taken. Whatever we can do, like us, any other section in hospitality, they are already taking all their measurement related to the COVID-19.
Okay, great. So, I mean, how has that helped to make things pick up a bit? And are you seeing better and improved turnout, considering all the measures in place?
Okay, let's start like from January, if you want. Things got back better.
Okay.
But it didn't go back better as before.
Okay.
It was really hard because during the lockdown, man, it was like impossible. You have to pay salaries. It was very hard on all hotelier section in all the world, not just in Nigeria. But now, by God grace, from January, it was picking up. Okay, we have rules and regulation. Like example, we are not allowed to do conference more than 50 packs.
Yeah.
In the elevator, you have to have 2 people. I cannot be more than 2 people. You have to enter the gym. You will have also like restriction number 2 people. Safety kit, decontamination for the rooms against COVID-19. So all this. With all this now, I think we are really picking up since January. If we want to say like last year, January was disaster. For now,
it actually was for just about every sector. Yes,
it was. So this year, like January, February, March, I think most of the hoteliers will ask, they will be happy. They are not very, very happy, but at least we are achieving like 60 to 65% of our budget. But I will say one thing, and this is to be written. I was in all the world. If the COVID-19 was not in Nigeria, the Nigeria hospitality section will be #1 in Middle East and Africa. Because the numbers before the COVID-19 of Abuja really can find any other number in any place in here, like in Middle East or in Africa.
That's very encouraging and good to hear. I mean, coming from you, you're a vacation enthusiast. I mean, you've already established that even just for the few number of times or minutes you've spent here. I've not been doing a lot of outdoor outing lately. In fact, as a matter of fact, in the last 1 year and a half, I'm yet to actually regain that confidence to begin to go to places where there are crowds.
You should go, man. You should go. You should go visit your country. You should go visit your places.
Of course, I will.
There is lots of beautiful hotels, beautiful restaurants, beautiful touristic places that you can visit even in Abuja. It's amazing, really.
Alan, yes, I'll take you up on that. I was just going to say, with the vaccination ongoing now, I mean, it gives and boosts public confidence to make people go out there and, you know, enjoy themselves. At least it's some pressure and feel good about themselves. Have you seen reasonable changes since the vaccination exercise started in Nigeria?
Yes, for sure. And I forget to say one thing.
Please say it very quickly because we're out of time.
Very important.
Yes.
We have people coming to our established from all Africa. So what I'm hearing is something really to be highlighted on. The security in Abuja is #1 security in all Africa. This is not from me. From United Nations staff, they are coming abroad. NGO staff coming from abroad. They was in Kenya. They were in. Let's not mention country. But they say, Alan, really, in Abuja is very safe. We can go midnight. We can go AM. No one will stop. It's amazing. This gives even confidence for all kind of people, expat, locals, everyone to enjoy their vacation, to enjoy their hotels more, to go out more. This is really things to be highlighted.
Well, Alan, I would personally, and this is my personal view, I would like to personally recommend you to be made a cultural ambassador of Nigeria. So you'd help us, you know, relay these messages to the international community. Thank you so much for being on this program.
Thank you very much.
Salim, hotelier and vacation consultant. It's been a pleasure. You've been a delight.
Thank you very
much.
much.
It's been
Thank
a pleasure
you very
for me
much.
speaking
Really,
with you.
my pleasure to be here was. Thank you very much.
And that's it on this episode of the program. Do join us same time next week for more on Insights. My name is Nnamdi Odikwo.
And I'm Elizabeth Omori. We'll see you next week.